recreation specialist at State Parks and Recreation Department. The bikeway program is through the State Parks and Recreation Department. We work in partnership with Travel Oregon, and ODOT on it. The plan for this evening is I'm going to talk a little bit about the bikeway program, the overview, and talk about, and the proponents, people, the locals who've been working on this will talk about the proposed bikeway and what the next step, we'll also cover the next steps. And if you're interested, also ways to get involved. This is all in preparation for a vote to be held by the State Parks Commission. So any comments you have, concerns, support, anything that you want to verbalize this evening is summarized and passed on to the commission. Or you can submit it in writing, or otherwise and I'll have that information up at the end of the presentation. And also, since it's just a good number, just a small number of folks, if you have a question, just want you to go ahead and interject right in the middle of the presentation. And if we have too many questions, we'll hold them to the end. But I think a lot of way to go. So the Scenic Bikeway program is the first in the country. It's the best of the best of road bike riding. The vast majority is on roads. We have 2 that are designated that are on paved trails. But it's about paved riding. It's not about mountain biking. And we're the very first in the country to have this special program. This is a photo of one of the very first ones, the Blue Mountain Century. This is outside of Ukiah. And right now, we have 15 designated scenic bikeways. Our newest one is actually still shown and dotted on this map, the Painted Hills, which goes through Fossil, Service Creek, up in that area. That's our newest one. And if you look down to the far right corner of the map, you see the Outback. It's the only one in the whole southeast section of all of Oregon. And so it's really, really great to have this geographic diversity added. All of this is proponent driven. So the placement of these is not really driven by state parks. It's an application driven program. And I'll talk about that. This photo, you may recognize about where that one is. This is on the Outback. As I said, we have 15 designated scenic bikeways now, which represent over 1,000 miles of riding. Of the applications we received, we rejected more than half. So some of them we reject without even doing a field trip onto them, where we actually ride them. Some we reject after the ride, because they have to meet the criteria. And we look at the scenic, which is naturally human-made, and the sensory. The sensory is the feel of the air, the smell of the air, because that's so important when you're going 10, 15 miles an hour. We also look at route conditions, but it's taken as a whole, because if there's a lot of traffic, for example, but there's a buffered bike lane, that's one thing, or if there's very, very little traffic, like on this one, then there really isn't the need for separation when you are marketing it towards folks who are used to riding on the roads, as this one would be. I threw in this slide. This was taken a couple of years ago out on the Grand Tour, Scenic Bikeway. This is coming into Baker City. And this turned out to be the talk of the entire weekend. The cyclists loved this. People from all over Oregon and Washington, some lived in rural areas, some lived in Portland. So they come out here to experience this kind of thing, and they know it's not going to be for them. So the next steps. But first, before I talk about the next steps, I should talk about what happened with the first steps. Is that a group of folks here in Lakeview got together and put in an application several years ago. In that application, they needed initial letters of support from all the road jurisdictions, including the Forest Service and BLM, county, city, got all the initial letters of support. Once that application was in, and so that application was a lot of work. Julie, Chris Bishop, Marie Tucker, some other folks were involved in that. And then once it made the first cut, once the State Scenic Bikeway Committee decided it was worth taking a field trip out to look at, then that's what's been happening the last couple of years is the proponents have been working on what we call the Scenic Bikeway Plan. I refer to the Scenic Bikeway Committee, the State Scenic Bikeway Committee. That's made up of people from ODOT, from tourism groups, Cycle Oregon, Travel Oregon, Oregon State Parks. A citizen representative from John Day is also on it. But anyway, so now that caught us up. So there was the application, then it made the cut. It rated highly enough on the field trip that we asked the proponent group to start working on the bikeway plan. So many of you picked up copies of that. That is close to the final draft. There's a few minor tweaks in there. Represents a lot of work in that bikeway plan. Once I get that final bikeway plan, which should be very soon, because like I said, there's just a few minor tweaks that need to happen at this point. Then goes back to the State Scenic Bikeway Committee for them to vote on it. It also goes to the Recreation Trails Advisory Council. Both of those will happen in April. And then the State Parks Commission will do the final designation vote, and that will be on June 28th. The whole idea building up to the commission vote is to address any issues, to have everything in place before it gets to that point. I keep talking about the bikeway plan that some of you are looking at right now. This is what's in it. The final letters of support from all road jurisdictions. As I said, city, county, ODOT. Who else am I forgetting, Chris? Let's see.
Fairgrounds will give us.
Oh, the fairgrounds. Sign location table. That's one thing that you'll see once it is designated is directional signs will go up. There's preservation and enhancement goals, which I'll let Chris and others talk about in a minute. The ride description, photos, and outreach to local businesses, which is part of the goals. I'll hand this over in just a second for Chris and others to talk about. Just wanted to touch on this. If the route is designated, what you will see is the directional signage will be installed probably a month or two after the actual designation, because it takes time to order the signs and then the road crews put them up. So you'll see that. On the website, you'll see a printable map of the route and a really nice PDF that shows where services are, where water is, where camping is, elevation profile, and what cyclists call a cue sheet, a turn-by-turn cue sheet, turn left here, turn right there. See all that online. What you won't see, because it's not directed at you, is the promotion for this ride. Working with Travel Oregon, we promote this nationally and internationally. For example, last year, a big Canadian biking magazine did a story on several of the scenic bikeways. Most of us didn't see it. The only reason I saw it is the author of the story sent me the magazine. But so there's all these things, and also the Old West a few years ago got written up in the Men's Journal. So there's all these things going on behind the scenes that you won't really know about. It'll seem kind of quiet to you. But there's quite a bit of national and international promotion for the entire bikeway program. And here's one of the signs. Is there anyone from any of the road jurisdictions or government here? Oh.
ODOT.
ODOT, that's right. That's what I kept saying. You look so familiar. So, but you already know this part. The signs are, and who else? County, thank you. Thanks for coming. These signs are in what's called the Manual of Uniform Traffic Code Devices. That's an Oregon supplement. This is what the sign looks like. We can't change it. So that's.
It's a bike.
It's a bike with an arrow. It's a scenic bikeway. Very simple. That's the point of the sign, so you can read it quickly. Oh, sorry, Chris. A couple more slides. This is what one of the on the state website. A little bit of what it'll look like. It lists all the bikeways on one side. The description, so someone in 300 words or less can see if this bike ride's for them. And then on the side, it lists the link to the map, camping, local info. So there's a lot of things. I know that there's been some talk of other bike rides here. Well, this is where you could put that local link. And from there, go to the other bike rides. And this is a slide of the RideOregonRide.com, which is a website that's put together by Travel Oregon. I should have made this a little bit bigger. I hope you can see this. It's right now I clicked on food and drink. You can click on places to stay, attractions, bike shops, and businesses that are on the route will pop up. The ones in blue are in the Bike Friendly Business Program. And that's a free program. You just need to enter your information online. You can pay to also get a sign for your window if you're interested. And that way they pop up more than the other businesses, but all the businesses on the route will show that way. And that's really neat. It's an interactive map. You can zoom in closer and see the exact names of the businesses. So when you're planning your trip.
So the businesses have to be on the exact route to be able to do this?
Thank you for asking that. No, they do not. Any business that can be a bike-friendly business can be a part of this program. You don't need to be on a scenic bikeway.
And is this the one with John Day?
Yes.
Is that, looks like Canyon, I just can't see that. Canyon City, is that?
Yeah, that's Canyon City. Well, yeah, it's kind of, because I didn't make it big enough, Canyon City and John Day
Right.
are kind of a blob together. And this is Long Creek. There's a restaurant in Long Creek. This must be Austin Junction Store.
Oh.
And this is Prairie City. This is just the restaurants. That's the eating, that's the,
That's good for a mountain bike.
I'm sorry, what?
That's a good route for a mountain bike.
Oh, okay,
Well,
yes. It is paved.
yeah.
And with this, here is the proposed the Outback Scenic Bikeway. And I think I'll just hand it over to Chris from here.
Do you want to describe this part, Lynn?
To-
Do you
or-
want to talk about the route?
Sure.
Okay. Let's do that and
You
we'll
can
talk
just
about the goals.
describe it.
Yeah.
So we're going to start in Lakeview, the fairgrounds. We'll go out on Roberta to Rabbit Hill Road, go across Willow Bridge to here, Old Smoky, and then on up the ski hill over Plush, across Waydell, then it loops back, and then back home the same way. So we have a little overlap here. When we were trying to decide what route, we chose this route because there's just so much diversity. You have the mountains, so you have an elevation gain to the ski hill, you have a nice time to warm up, to get to that point, and then we went this way to Plush because if you go counterclockwise, several of us have discovered that that gain coming out there's a grade that's just a killer if you have any wind. It's just brutal. So we chose to go this way, Plush, across to Waydell. I mean, the scenery from the ski hill, you have the hills and the mountains there, but the scenery through that whole loop is just beautiful. When I went out and took pictures, I looked at it a different way than I normally would when I'm just riding, because you ride the whole way. We get out and ride and take pictures, and it's just beautiful out there. And I think the people out there are getting used to more cyclists out there. In the store, they're used to people coming in. They're more than welcoming us. You know, the Adele store wants to have a barbecue if a group of riders want to come out. So yeah, a lot of you have maybe ridden that. Anything else? Please finish it out.
A lot of folks ask why we designated this exact route. And in addition to everything you said, we tried to hit as many of the agencies as we could as well. To try to garner future support for it. So it covers quite a bit of Forest Service land, coming to the ski hill, over the top, and then this is all pretty much peeling across the cutoff, and then from Plush to Adele. And even though it doesn't quite reach Parkland Refuge, that was a great time for maybe people who've never been there to see it.
Good to see it now.
And decide to go later in the day to go to Hot Springs.
I have some photos, photos.
That's going along with Smoky. That is between Adele and Plush. Plush store. We're encouraging them to get some bike racks, so we can hang out there a little bit longer.
So in addition to the destination, we got some other goals that will probably take us 2, 3, 4 years to maybe implement. And they're mainly focused around improved infrastructure, business outreach, and marketing. And it's in the plan, a lot of you picked up, but I'll just try to touch on a few of the highlights here. No real specific order. Two of the things we'd like to construct, we'd like to construct kiosks and bike racks at several of the stops and trailhead points, so at fairgrounds, at Camas Snow Park, in Adele and Plush. And on the kiosks, we're put all the information about the ride, but also extended rides, try to keep people to stay in the area, spend more money, keep them stay an extra couple days. Also like to coordinate with the Fremont Highlanders Ski Club at Snow Park, Ski Hill. We're trying to encourage them to open up the bathrooms for folks going by in the summer. They got a grant to help them with their water system, open that up to the public, and maybe encourage people to camp there for group rides. Folks coming in to be able to use their lodge there. We also plan on making a series of brochures that we can hand out to all the businesses and stores in town of those extended rides, but not only for road cycling, but mountain biking as well, and really get people to come in and stay. You know, most people, you know, they'll travel with their mountain bike and their road bike, try to get people to take advantage of what we have here. I'd like to work with the BLM and Oregon Fish and Wildlife, maybe build a campground in Friday Reservoir between Adele and Plush. A lot of you are probably familiar with that area, but it's directly in the middle between the two towns, and it's a great place to try to encourage people to camp at another location along the way. For business outreach, we're going to go out and Marie and Julie are going to talk to local businesses about trying to get them into the bike-friendly program, and we're going to try to hit the lodging sector and the restaurant sectors first, they're kind of the primary sectors for tourism, and then eventually move on to grocery stores and local. We don't have breweries, but we've got a hard alcohol place. We're going to create a web page through the county website, try to attract folks and put additional information up about the ride, as well as the work we're going to do on Ride Oregon Ride to tell people about all the opportunities out here. I skipped a couple of those. Anyway, that's the highlights of additional work. If I take us 3 or 4 years after designation to really kind of work through and help it become its full potential of what it could be. Anyway, any questions before I step off?
Yeah, is there something that we can do to reach out to the kids, the teenagers? I want to see them on the Tour de France, you know.
Right, me too.
Yeah, I mean, I almost got 2 kids to stay with us, but they did come in, but they did. So, what can we do to reach that segment of society?
Well, we have a lot of potential around here, and there's a lot of trails right close to town. And on the
We
website.
tried before, it's just
Rob.
it's got to be a way, because I mean, you know, the professional started somewhere, you know, and it's just that we're not reaching these kids.
Right. Rob, after the meeting today, Rob's got some money he wants to use to produce more brochures and tell people about other places to go. Hopefully we'll maybe emphasize.
Something to get them in, and then once they feel the power of bicycling, then they're stuck.
We've also created a Facebook page that maybe a lot of kids can see the opportunities once we start posting pictures.
We're not doing something.
Yeah, there's, that's kind of outside the scope of the Scenic Bikeways program, but there are some other things. There's the, what's called the Safe Routes to School program, which has limited funding now, but there is some possibilities that, what we can do is supply them with all the inspirational photos that are shown on radio, and oftentimes that just encourages people. Are there other?
Sincerely, we're on our way out, you know, I just want to get kids to.
Yes.
bases are full.
Totally get that, and see what you're saying. I wish I had more answers for that. Other questions for any of the proponents or myself?
Have you called anything like, encourage people to do all the trails in like a year and have like a award or something, you know, a special title for it yet?
The reason I'm smiling when you ask that is we've been talking about that now. So this program is almost 8 years old, and we've been talking about that from the very beginning. There's some issues with that where maybe right now it's just around personal satisfaction and bragging rights, but we're talking about that.
I just encouraging people to come, so.
Well, I guess I had a question is, now, so ours is what, is it 90 miles now? Do you find that people, what would you expect just based upon other places? Would people come and try to drive it all 90 miles, or would you think people might come and do sections? Or
Yeah.
Or what's the common? It's not an easy, I mean, 90 miles to do the whole 9 minutes. You can do it, and we've done it, but it's a workout.
Yeah.
What would you expect us, based on your experience in other places, what do you think we would see?
I think a lot of people would come, some people will come and ride it on a 2-day section and camp along the way. Some people bring a sport vehicle with them, some people don't, a lot of people don't. For example, in the Old West, a lot of people will carry their stuff and camp and stay in hotels, mix it up that way. See that for the weekend ride. Other people will probably maybe park in Plush or Edel and that section. I can't believe how much wildlife I saw. For people who are wildlife viewers and birders, this is just amazing. So to do just that section. And that's part of the promotional piece, is how to ride it and what sections are to do. When the map is done, I didn't bring any of the maps, but it will show where the camping is, where the lodging is. So you can look at the information online and plan what you want to do in just a few minutes. And every route also brings its own surprises. The Willamette Valley Scenic Bikeway, the very first one, is a linear route. It starts up north of Salem and goes all the way to ends just north of Eugene. And I thought people would ride it and either turn around and go back or get a ride. Well, it turns out some people are riding it to Eugene and then meeting folks at the football game and then getting a ride home. Some other people are riding down the coast, and they always want to ride down the coast because of the wind, crossing over and riding the Willamette Valley Scenic Bikeway back and hopping on Amtrak. So there's all these different ways. So what I just said about what I think they're going to ride, time will tell how exactly people are doing it.
So you say there's 15 now, this is going to be 16. Do you see a limit on the number of rides you're going to
Yes.
be proposing?
We have taken a pause on accepting applications. We have 2 more bikeways that are in the works that have just been approved to work on their bikeway plan. There's one in Maupin and one outside of Prineville. You'll see those hopefully in the next couple of years. After that, you probably won't see another bikeway designation for a while.
Seems like a long process.
And on that, yes, it's a long, hard process. So much of the work falls on the local opponents, Chris and Lorraine and Julie and other folks. And the reason we do that, and get the road jurisdiction support and the county commission support, is it absolutely needs that local support. The very first one, the prototype, was the Willamette Valley Scenic Bikeway. It moved ahead originally without the local energy. And that's what gave us the idea that we really needed to have a local involvement. And it's a lot of work for people that are either doing it in addition to the regular job or volunteer.
Well, I'm just going to say one other thing that's kind of interesting about this. I think I first rode this route in like the 80s. And really it's different at different times of the year too. And there's this time of year, there's all that water out there, there's so many more birds, it's so much different. And then in the fall, it can be very different just because of the changing colors. I mean, you could actually ride it at different times of year and have a different experience, or whatever.
I think so, and we do try to encourage people for different times of the year to ride, you know, what's the ideal time to do it, you know, what you want to experience, yeah. Mike, did you have anything that you wanted to add?
No, I know, I'm just here to answer any questions that might be.
Okay, thanks for coming.
So if you guys are taking a pause on scenic byways, what you guys can move into? Heard rumors that maybe travel, byways going to come out.
Yes and no. So really, what we're doing is taking a pause on the applications. What we want to do is grow what we have and work more with the local components, work better with promotion, whatever, there's all these other things. Gentleman back mentioned the possible passport program. There's so many more things that we can do to strengthen and sustain this program and get the word out. That's what we want to focus on. We have not, we've been open to accepting gravel routes. We never got one. So right now, we don't have any gravel routes for a while, but that was something we were open to.
You know, it looks like.
Yes, there's a whole new thing, it's called gravel, it's actually not new, but they've newly called gravel grinding, which is something I did way back in the early 90s, I just didn't know that anyone else did it, is you ride a heavier touring bike or a mountain bike on gravel roads. And now it's become a big thing.
So there's folks doing it in our area, there's
Yeah,
a Oregon backpacking and bikepacking website that has one in North County, so it's on.
yep, it is. It's funny because you hear a lot about it, it is a big thing. The amount of people doing it compared to the amount of people road biking is actually small, even though it is a growing population of people interested in it.
Now, is this something like that route you're talking about, Chris? I've seen it. I saw that article about going down and doing the refuges and stuff. Now, are there going to be links on this particular site to those types of things, or is it just sort of designated just to?
Probably links on our local website.
Yeah, so over here on the local info, we have links to other rides in the area. That's one of the things that we want. But what we found is for this program to stay concentrated on promoting what we've got. And then from there, like you said, what Chris was talking about, we attract people here from Lakeview to Lakeview, and then you give them other things to do to keep them here longer. So as they're planning this trip, they might see, oh, well, I want to do additional gravel riding, or I want to check out some historical sites, or the sunstones, or whatever, to keep them in the area longer. But the bikeway program just concentrates on promoting the bikeways.
So process-wise, when does the commission meet to vote on this?
Let me go back to that, so I don't mess it up. I messed up what I said this morning. Almost got the completed plan, a couple tiny little things. The bikeway plan, it will be approved by the State Bikeway Committee, that's April 28th. Actually, and then it goes before the Oregon Trails Advisory Council, April 15th. You might see this, sometimes media likes to pick up on their media release, it'll be on their media release, they'll be discussing this. And then the State Parks Commission will meet, it's slated to be on their June 28th commission meeting, which will actually be held in Medford, I think, because they circulate around the state. They don't expect anyone from Lakeview to be there. I will be there representing the bikeway and the proponents.
Does it help in any way to have somebody there?
If you want to make the trip, they love it. They'd love to hear from you, but it's not necessary.
So I'm just curious, what are the criteria for the vote that they will make in June then? What are they looking at to make a decision?
They are looking at to make sure that I did all the right work, that the bikeway plan was completed, that all the road jurisdictions and especially the county commission support the route. that the local proponents are behind it, that everything is ready to go. That's why there's so many steps in the process. And if every once in a while concerns are raised about a bikeway, they want to know about those concerns well before the vote, so I and the local proponents will have a chance to discuss that. For an example, on Twin Bridges Bikeway, just outside of Bend, there's this one area that certain times of the year can get pretty congested because of the fishermen, actually, because of the anglers, not because of the cyclists. And there was concern about what to do there. And we discussed that with the county well before the issue got to the commission. And so that is, thanks for asking that question, because that is exactly one of the reasons we're having tonight's meeting. So if there are any of those issues that we haven't heard yet, to discuss those now, or to contact me and let me know.
There's a route north of Sisters that's being decommissioned or whatever. Is that something that could happen anytime?
No, that's a sad story. So, thanks for mentioning that. No. That was because we did not, and I was at the very beginning of the program, and that was designated in one of the very first round. And we didn't ask the right questions, and neither did the Forest Service. It's on a wild and scenic river. There's many wild and scenic rivers. The wild and scenic river plan for that particular area for Camp Sherman says that they do not want to promote it. They do not want to increase visitor use. There are other wild and scenic plans that say exactly the opposite. There's other scenic bikeways that are on wild and scenic rivers that say either, or don't say anything about promoting it one way or the other, or say to promote it. So that was, so we're in direct contact with this plan, which is why we're looking at undesignated routes. There are ways of another route could become undesignated. And that goes back to the scenic value, two ways. It goes back to the scenic values. If the scenic values are so degraded that it doesn't make the criteria anymore, you put in a giant strip mall that blocked all the wildlife.
What do you mean you don't want to show people real life or real thing?
So that's one way. The other way is if we lost the support of the road jurisdictions, which is something local proponents work on every year to maintain. So that's the two ways. Did that answer that question? Any other questions?
So, I guess just one more question. Is there a need then for like positive public comments between now and June?
Yes.
To see that this gets done?
Thank you. Yes, yes. There is very much a need for that, to hear from the locals or visitors alike. If you don't have a pen to write this down, and you just go to OregonScenicBikeways.org and click on contact, that's my contact information.
So in this process, once the plan is complete, as you say, so everything pretty much in your eyes done, in your opinion, is that meeting the formality, or is there somebody who can say, yeah, I don't think so? I mean, is this essentially a done deal or not?
Nothing's a done deal, but because everything has been falling into place, and we have been looking at all the issues, including if there is any restrictions because we live in a study area that or whatever. I am not anticipating a problem when we get to the commission. But letters of support are always very welcome.
We'll just pass this map around. This is, you have these, what are 2 years of it, or
As needed.
okay, this one is not, doesn't have the dotted painted hills that Alex mentioned earlier. But this is hugely important to us in Lake County because Oregon Department of Parks and Rec prints out thousands, I don't know, 50,000 of these each year. This is a glossy, however many fold it is. This is a very expensive publication. They do this as part of their outreach, touting what we have in the state. And this is of no cost to us here. We get these at the Chamber. We are one of 9 Oregon State Welcome Centers, contracted with Travel Oregon. These maps are distributed to us, for us to distribute to our visitors at no charge. And it puts us on the map, folks. As Alex pointed out earlier, that big hole down in South Central where there hasn't been anything, this puts us there. And this is a very, very important thing, a very important resource for us to have at the Chamber, for us to have in Lake County, for us to have as recreationalists, for us to have as cyclists. It's hugely important. And so we are very grateful for what the State Department of Parks and Rec does in this regard for publicizing what we have to offer. Like Alex says, there's a lot of behind the scenes outreach that goes on that you won't see on certain of the websites that you go to, but it is out there and it is international. And that's very important to us. So, and this is a good, healthy, clean industry that is a wonderful thing that we have the opportunity to try and get this going. So.
I'm surprised nobody brought up the money issue. Let me talk about that really briefly. This is our old brochure. Our new one, we just put the final edits on yesterday. It's going to look very different. We are not including any of the maps the way it is. It's going to be one big statewide map showing the locations, showing the photos, having inspirational, so you can look through it and just find the right bikeway for you. That should be out, I don't know, 3 weeks, a month. We're also changing the distribution just a little bit. It'll still go to the welcome centers and the information centers and all that, but we're also going to try to get it more outside of Oregon. And that is paid for by State Parks and Travel Oregon together. The signs, that's another very expensive part of the program, or I would say the most expensive part of the program. Those signs are paid for by State Parks and Recreation Department. The county and ODOT that installs those signs do get reimbursed for the work that the county does the work because it's their road and they put it up to their standards.
So the county doesn't have to purchase any of the signs?
No, what happens is,
the competing part.
yes, so there's a sign location table that is in there, and it's almost complete. There's one thing actually with the county that we need to sort out. Maybe you two could talk. Yes. Yes. Thank you for coming. So once that is done and we know exactly which signs are the county signs, right after it is, so that's very important to know which ones are the county signs. Right after that it's designated, I will order those signs and ship them to the county. And then the county will install them. And I'll go into a little bit more detail than some of you are interested in. But the installation includes the post, labor, the locates. All that goes into the price of the sign, which you then bill us and we reimburse you for the work.
So we kick back the post that we use and the labor.
Yes. And typically that runs for installation anywhere between $125 and $250 per sign for just the install.
Right now, we're looking at 16 signs on county and 5 on state.
And Mike is looking to maybe refine
Or,
some of
yeah.
those with his
21
supervision
signs.
as well, so.
Yeah. Okay.
What about replacement signs?
Let me just, before I answer that question, just because I'm so the better the sign location table is when it's designated, the more clear it is exactly which one is county, exactly which one's ODOT. The signs go up a lot more smoothly and it's easier for me. Replacement signs. So the way that works is that the responsibility for noticing that is on the proponents. So one of the things that you'll be doing when you're riding the loop is saying, oh, look, there's a sign missing. And you call me, and then we, once again, send the sign, county installs it. We've found so far, it's really weird, there's hundreds of these signs now across the state, hundreds of them. And there's 2 or 3 that keep disappearing. We don't know why. All the rest of them are fine. So it's kind of, there's just these jinxes on 2 or 3 of them.
Some in the basements.
Yeah. But it's the same 2 or 3 signs. Actually 2 2 signs. One on one side of the state, one all the way on the other.
So the county will install anything that's on the county, but ODOT will install that, correct?
Yes, and that's why I need you guys, both the county and ODOT, to really look closely and work that out amongst yourselves, who's what sign or what. The other little detail on signs, since you're here, sorry for the rest of you, but there's 2 sizes. One is 18 by 24, the other one is 24 by 36. The smaller one is more for in town, in the fairgrounds. The larger one is for county and state roads. If the county does want to use the smaller signs for, let's say, right outside the fairground entrance, I was thinking about this earlier, that's your call. It's your decision which size. I kind of lean towards using the bigger ones when we can, but sometimes because of the amount of signs at a certain location or the speed of traffic, a smaller sign works.
So do you guys already designate where you want the sign?
That's in the sign location table.
Did you get one of the proposals?
Yep, I think she
One
has
of
it.
the proposals.
Yeah, and it should be all in there. One of the pages, it shows where all the signs are, which Chris wrote.
My name is Ron. Are you right? Oh, the mountains.
Here it is. Yes, and it's also in 2 directions. So, Maria was saying that they're encouraging folks to ride in a particular direction because of the elevation gain and the wind. You can ride it in either direction. Sign will be are installed in both directions. That's what we're aiming for.
And is Oregon Parks and Rec still gonna make a video of the ride eventually?
Actually, Travel Oregon does.
Travel Oregon.
So probably maybe this fall or next spring, because of with all the wildlife, they might wait until the spring, and they'll make a promotional video. They do that for each one of the bikeways, and those are available for free for anyone to download and put on the county website or the tourism website, and it's also used for promotional purposes. It's a video, they're each about 2 or 3 minutes long. Sure.
Write a letter.
Yes, and maybe that video can help inspire some of those kids you were talking about.
There you go on it. Go on it.
Thanks for sitting through the details on the signs. I'll be here for a while if you have any more sign questions too. Because that's actually what we found. We did a big survey last year that the signs and the printable maps, people love those. They really help because people can just go. Well, thank you all for coming. Oh, yes.
Did you want to address the fact that we were going to say that this is a cycle
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So we're not talking about Cycle Oregon coming through. We're not talking about 2,000 cyclists coming to Lakeview. We are talking about small groups of folks. What we found, for example, the Old West is the most ridden of the eastern routes of the ones in that side of the state. And a lot of people will park at the state park inside John Day, and they find there's 2 to 3 cars every weekend there parked to ride the bikeway. Just to give you an idea of the numbers that we're talking about. Small groups of people coming in to ride the bikeway, not Cycle Oregon. And they're all looking for different experiences. Some of them looking for the subway, some of them want to go to the state place, some of them want to camp, some will want a hotel, but they're here to enjoy this part of the state. Thanks for. Any last questions, comments? Well, thank you all really for coming. It's a really, really great turnout for you, really.
Well, thank you.
So having jumped the whole area.